I've talked about my addictions in previous videos. I've talked about how I went all in with the drugs, the alcohol, the partying in my college days, and how that became a part of who I was and followed me back home. Initially, I fought tooth and nail with this addiction. Initially, I gave it my everything trying to overcome it. Eventually, I quit trying to quit the substances. I think it was partly denial, where I was telling myself that I didn't have a problem in the first place. I told myself that I could stop at any time I wanted to. I just didn't want to stop right now because I had nothing better to do. I was at home, I was bored, I had nothing else to do, so might as well. I promised myself that I had it under control. I promised myself that I would stop as soon as I found something else to do, as soon as I got out of my house. At this point in time, I had given up on myself. I had stopped even thinking about doing something with my life, about making it big, about becoming successful, about any of it. I had stopped even having goals and aspirations in the first place. It was at this point in my life when I was fortunate to get slapped in the face by reality. I was in the final semester of my university, just a few months away from graduating, and I hadn't been able to land a single job. And around the same time, I had begun to realize that with my grades, all the way from the beginning of school to the last semester of my undergraduate, there was no fucking way that I could get even a mid-tier university for my postgraduate. And I remember this was when I had the epiphany. This was when I had the realization that I no longer had the option. I did not have the luxury of choice to sit and think, oh, do I want to give the GMAT right now, or do I want to invest my time somewhere else? I was cornered. I was at a dead end. All my life I'd gone in one direction without ever putting much thought into it. I never stopped to think if I want to if I want to continue moving in this direction. But now I had reached a dead end. I had reached a point where I could no longer continue to live my life the way I had. I realized that not only did I not have the option whether to give the GMAT or not, but I also did not have the option whether to perform well on it or not. The only option was to give it my 100% and get as good a score as I possibly could, and just hope and pray to God that that would be good enough to counteract a lifetime of failures, a lifetime of fuck ups. And so that is exactly what I did. For the first time, I set a goal many months in the future and realized that how I spent every day from that day onwards to test day is what would completely determine how test day went. For the first time in my life, I experienced what productivity felt like, and along with that, what procrastination felt like. Procrastination is when you want to do something, when you want to get something done, but keep putting off on it, but keep delaying it. I had never tried to do anything in the first place. So over the next few months, I experienced procrastination for the first time, and I also learned how to overcome procrastination. I started gymming regularly again after way too long a break. I started working on my mental health for the first time. For the first time in many years, I overcame my addictions without even trying, by the way, because remember, I had stopped trying to quit. When I had started preparing for the GMAT, the plan was to study my ass off for entire days, to grind throughout days, and at nights reward myself by getting high. But over time, I stopped requiring the incentive of getting high. I stopped indulging in the substances. Over the next few months, I experienced what it felt like to live life with a meaning, to wake up every morning with a purpose. I never thought I would say this for a period of time when I was studying for a major portion of my days, but it was the greatest time of my life. Until, of course, test day. I have never in my life experienced a high like I did on test day. I had walked into the exam hall hoping for a good score, hoping for a brilliant score, but I walked out with one that I couldn't have even imagined in my wildest dreams. When you set out to achieve a goal that seems impossible at the time being, that seems extremely unlikely, that seems unrealistic, but you end up achieving it anyway, the adrenaline rush, the dopamine spike, the high that you experience at that time, no drug, nothing can ever give you a high like that. It really was the greatest day of my life. But while telling this story, I realized that this is not really an end goal I want to push you towards. This is not really a situation I want to pump you to. Because I had walked into a dead end. I had cornered myself in life. I had fucked up my life to the extent that it was possible. And that is not what we want for you. Why would we want to wait until our life got completely fucked up? Why would we want to wait until we got cornered in life, until we reached a dead end? Why not save ourselves much before that? Why wait until we are pushed to take a 180 in our lives? I realize that my GMAT story is not really relatable to most of you, because most of you have not fucked up your lives to this point. And so, coming to the point of this video, about fucking time, right? Let me continue the story. Yes, it was the greatest day of my life, but just like any other day, this day came and it went. The next morning, I woke up with a weird feeling of emptiness, with a weird feeling that something was missing. So the very next day, I decided to embark on my next purpose. I sat down to think what it was that I would spend the next multiple months pursuing. There were two things I had in mind. Number one was this right here, starting a YouTube channel. For the past month or so, I had been telling myself that as soon as I got done with GMAT, I would start a YouTube channel and make that my purpose. But it's very different to tell yourself that you would do something way in the future versus when that day is today. When the time finally came to take this up as a purpose, my insecurities crept up. I started questioning things. I started saying things like, YouTube is already way too exhausted. And my insecurities crept up. I questioned myself. I said, who the fuck do I think I am to start a YouTube channel? Why? And what would I even say to people? And if I were able to decide on that, why would people even listen to me? Why would they listen to me over their favorite YouTubers? All these questions, they made me doubt taking this path. They made me question if this was a good decision. And so I didn't really tell myself that I wouldn't do this. I just said that I'll take care of it eventually. I guess I hadn't overcome my procrastination after all. And the second thing I thought of was the CFA, that is the Chartered Financial Analyst. This is the most prestigious certification you can get in finance. Finance was what I was thinking of getting into eventually, what I still am thinking of getting into eventually after my postgraduate. So I thought that this would be a good path. There are 3 exams you need to give to get the certification, and each of which requires about 4 to 5 months of preparation at least. At the end of which you get to put on your resume this little thing by, you get to write CFA level 1 cleared, level 2 cleared, and get that little bump on your resume. So I figured this is the purpose I would embark on. I bought access to this platform that would help me with my preparation and decided to go with it. Now, I'll be honest, after the GMAT, I had overestimated my capabilities to withstand distraction, to overcome procrastination. But the difference here from the GMAT case, and this is where I feel most of you are at in your lives, is that there was nothing pushing me to give the CFA or to start a YouTube channel. With this GMAT, I couldn't imagine wasting a single day, because I couldn't imagine a reality where I ended up scoring badly on the GMAT. But now it wouldn't really matter if I didn't start a YouTube channel, and it wouldn't really matter if I didn't prepare for the CFA, if I didn't give it. It wasn't like I wouldn't get into a good university if I didn't give the CFA. And so I got comfortable. I started to take it easy. I got complacent. I think we've already established that I hadn't overcome procrastination. So yes, I started procrastinating more and more. The way younger Sahaj justified it to himself was that over the past 21 years, he had never been productive. He had never gotten anything done. But over the past 5 months, let me just say that over these past 5 months, he had been more productive. He had gotten more done than he had in the past 21 years of his life. And so he felt like he deserved a break. He deserved to take it easy for a bit. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I understand his rationalization. I understand his logic. I understand where he was coming from. It's just that knowing what I know now, I would have done things a little differently. I think where he went wrong was that he saw purpose as just one of the aspects of self-improvement. He saw it as gymming, eating healthy, working on his mental health, purpose, productivity. He saw them all in the same line. So he decided to take it easy with just one aspect. He decided to take it easy with the purpose bit. To tell people, to tell his parents, to even tell himself, he said that he was preparing for the CFA, but deep within, he himself knew that he wasn't. I mean, he hadn't set a purpose. He wasn't purposeful with it. He hadn't set a date. He didn't say, okay, I want to, by this date, I want to get done with my prep. He just said that, I'll try to put in a couple of hours a day into this. But in all honesty, he was putting in like half an hour every other day. But that was just for the purpose bit. For everything else, he tried to maintain his good habits and keep the bad habits away. Spoiler alert, that blew up in his face. It began with the increase in screen time. I mean, of course, because when you're not striving towards something, when you don't really have anything to do in your day, of course you're going to spend time on Instagram, on YouTube, on Netflix, right? The next thing to take a hit was meditation, journaling, gratitude journaling, or basically working on my mental health as a whole. All of that gradually reduced until the point I completely stopped. I think I should have understood at that point that things were going to go south now, but I didn't. I gave the GMAT in mid-September, and towards the end of October, I started indulging in the substances again. My addictions came back, but this time with vengeance. They came back in full force. Towards the end of October, I'd started gradually. I'd started with once every 3-4 days, something like that. But then came November. I don't know what it was about November, dude, but I remember the first week of November, first 7 days, I got high every single night. The 8th of November was, I remember the first time I went, wait, could this turn into a problem? Could this be a problem? So, I don't know which part of the brain is the logical side, left brain, right brain, but let's just say it's the left brain. So, I remember on the 8th, my left brain slightly nudged the right brain, just a casual request. My left brain said, Mr. Right Brain, if it isn't too much of an inconvenience, could we please not indulge tonight? And my right brain was like, fuck you, bro, and went all out again that night. That turned into 15 days, into 20 days, into 25 days of getting high every single night. And that's when I realized that this had gotten out of hand. I don't know how and from where, but I had this conviction. I knew for 100% sure that if I let this turn into an entire month, if I let, there's 30 days in November, yeah. So if I knew that if I let myself go the entire 30 days, there was no coming back. I knew that I would lose hope for myself like I once had. And I started to get desperate. I think it was the 28th when I journaled about it. I requested myself, I pleaded, I begged myself to please just not do it that night, to break the cycle, to save myself. I remember I had quite a battle that night with myself. For around half an hour, I had this internal battle, one side telling me to not fucking do it at all, not even think about it, and one side saying one side just saying, fuck it, dude, let's just go for it. And I ended up going for it. I got high that night. The next morning, I was so pissed at myself. I was so fucking angry. I was furious. I was disgusted with myself. And I didn't want to give myself the chance to explain myself. I didn't want to give myself the chance to justify. So I spent the entire day just watching shows, just binging shows, just watching movies, keeping myself occupied the entire time, not even letting my brain, have that thought of justifying, of telling myself, okay, why did I indulge, to give myself another chance. I wasn't having it. And then that night, you know where this is going. 29th night, I got high. I was one night away from giving up on myself. I was one night away from just saying fuck it and accepting myself as a drug addict. That night I got high. I opened up Notion, I opened up a journal, I opened up a page on my journal, and I started writing. I always used to try to keep it light-hearted. I just used to say, hey, it's no problem, bro, you'll get over it. 29th, I said, you have a problem. I remember I didn't write much on the 29th. I just wrote out a timetable for myself saying that no matter what, we are going to follow this by the tea tomorrow. I remember I didn't let myself watch anything that night. I didn't eat any chips. I didn't eat any junk food. I didn't give myself any source of entertainment that night. I just sat with myself. I just sat with my thoughts and tried to figure out what was going wrong. After about an hour of doing that, I don't know what happened. I don't know. I think something clicked within me. I was about to throw away my substances, and but I stopped myself. I said, I know that I'm not going to do it the next night, even though I've never given myself any reason to trust myself. I said, I've talked to you for an hour today. I know you're not going to do it the next night. You know, it's a fact that when you purposefully try to figure something out, when you give it your everything trying to find a solution to a problem, your subconscious does it for you. The next morning I woke up, and the first thought I had was that I'm going to start a YouTube channel. I said to myself, I know you're terrible at everything that this job is going to require. You're terrible at, you know, you're conscious of your voice. You are terrible in front of a camera. I remember for online lectures, I always used to keep my camera off. I don't know why I was so conscious of myself on camera, but I knew that this wasn't something I could stand. But that morning I told myself that I was going to get over it, that I was going to figure out a way, that I didn't know how and I didn't know when I would be able to do it, but I was going to start a YouTube channel, and the rest is history. That was the last night I've smoked till date. I haven't gotten high a single time it's been 7 months now, I think. I haven't gotten high a single time. I haven't even felt the need. I haven't even wanted to ever do it again. The solution to every single problem of yours lies in picking a purpose. Just pick a goddamn purpose, man. All of your problems, all of these things holding you back, they'll all fade away, they'll all disappear. I promise you. Younger Sahaj was wrong in seeing purpose as just one of the aspects of self-improvement. Purpose is the premise of self-improvement. Having a purpose is what will make you do all the other good activities, that will make you stop doing all the other bad activities, because they're not worth it. The only reason I don't get high tonight, it would have been very easy for me to say, you know, let me just get high on Saturday nights, let me just enjoy myself. The only reason I don't do it is because that one night of fleeting pleasure is not worth ruining my routine the next day. In my opinion, there is nothing more fulfilling, more. On a quick side note, I'd never experienced the meaning of the word fulfillment in the past 21 years of my life. I knew the dictionary meaning, and I'm not gonna go and look it up right now, but let me describe to you what fulfillment feels like for me today. Fulfillment is when you spend the entire day exhausting yourself, putting in your everything towards something, and at the end of the day, when you have no energy left mentally or physically, when you're incapable of putting in any more work, the gratitude you feel, the meaning in life nothing in life will give you as much meaning as having an overarching goal that you're striving towards on a daily basis for weeks, for months, maybe even years. There's nothing more masculine. The first time I experienced the meaning of the word masculinity was when I picked a purpose, was when I started feeling the fulfillment from making significant progress towards my purpose every single day. That fulfillment that I get at the end of most days now, that's the only drug I need. That's the only thing I need to keep me going. I promise you, there is no feeling like it when you wake up every morning and the first thought in your mind every single day is what you're going to do about your purpose, is always about your purpose, is what you're going to do that day, what you're going to do long term. And the last thought, like every night when I'm falling asleep, when I think back, the last thought that I can remember is a thought about my purpose. I'm gonna end this video by putting up a screenshot of my journal entry from the 31st of December, exactly 1 month into my full-fledged self-improvement journey, 1 month into picking a purpose, into sobriety, into gymming regularly, meditating regularly, into doing all of the good habits because of having a goal that I was striving towards. And I'm gonna end this long-ass video with one last sentence, one last call to action. If you didn't get the memo already, pick a goddamn motherfucking purpose, man. I promise you, you'll thank yourself for it. I'll see you around.